cardholder data. So this is mainly what is done on site at the data center. You check if the rack is secure, if the data center is secure, that no one can gain access without viewing that he has a business need and all this stuff. Requirement 10 is track and monitor all access to network resources and cardholder data. So you should have audit trails for every access. You should reconstruct in case of a compromise what happened. A lot of log files are not present if you need them, so this is addressed here. Requirement 11 is regularly test security systems and processes. So you should do some penetration tests, security scans of your systems to check and to ask if everything what you did implement is still functional and working, or if there are again security holes and gaps. And here is also addressed the security scans that accredited auditors have to do. Requirement 12 is the information security policy to address information security. This is mainly addressing the management. The management should give a statement out to say, yes, information is value for this company and we should protect it, and therefore the management should get an approval to give resources to protect cardholder data. So this is addressed here. You must, of course, have policies to define who could access what and why. Links where you can, for example, download the standard, some add-ons and additional glossary and all that stuff is PCI Security Standards.org, which is a new website of the joint forces. The Visa EU AIS program website is located as visaeurope.com. Visa USA has a CISP program, which is very, very similar to AIS, but Visa is located or split it into 6 different regions, and USA called it CISP, Cardholder Information Security Program, and Visa EU decided to call it AIS. It's maybe for marketing purpose, I don't know, but I did put the link for the USA also into it because there are some additional interesting information on there. MasterCard has a known SDP program website, and you can check them. It's interesting stuff there. So we switch now to the interesting part, hopefully. Experiences and lessons learned when we conducted the security scans and security audits. I will first give you some general information. The requirement 3 to protect stored data is addressing things like CVV2, CVC2, which is a 3 or 4 digit number which is printed on the backside of a credit card. On Amex it's on the front. It's not allowed at all, never ever, to store it after the authorization. You need it, of course, for the authorization, but if you get the true or false or error code back, you're not allowed to store it anymore. But it's done very often. So merchants and service providers don't even know that this is forbidden. And it's not only forbidden since these programs have been introduced, it was forbidden when this CVV2, CVC2 was introduced. So when they added this security feature into their cards, it was from the beginning, it was totally forbidden to store them. But in these audits we did find a lot, so not everyone understood this. Same goes to the magnetic stripe data, that's the track data which is on this magnetic stripe. It's not allowed at all to store a full track, because if you have a copy of the full track, you can easily make a copy of the card, because it's no challenge to put the full mag stripe into new card. So again, this is not allowed at all, but we found sometimes. And in general also systems are really poorly managed and maintained. 2/3 of everyone who we scanned first time had significant vulnerabilities, which means we had access to we could have access to sensitive data, or even could compromise and own the system. The thing is why I say could have is the standards clearly define that we don't compromise the system. It's a scan which you have to do by fingerprinting technologies and all that to check out which kind of patches are installed or not. If you're not sure, you have to put them into the report and classify it. But in fact, a lot of people have really serious problems with this at the first scan. When they finish the scan and they get the report where is written what serious problems they have and what minor problems they have, they could fix them or not. It's sometimes only informational things. It's not every time a problem. But the way is they get the report, they can check what is the problem, how can they fix it, and after that they must pass a clean rescan. And 1/3 fails even to pass the second scan because they didn't patch or update or harden the system in a correct way. So this is really interesting because even still after they know exactly what is the problem and how they can address it, they're even not able to fix this really secure. And these numbers are irrespective of the number of transactions which this merchant or service provider is processing, or even the size of organization. So this goes cross through 2-3 people, employees, companies like up to 500, 600, 1,000, 1,500 people companies. So this is an interesting number. The interesting things we found in security scans have been an X-Display Manager control protocol, which was up and running. I mean, remote management is done a little bit different, but in fact we found it. Running ILK server in the payment processing environment was also very interesting because I have heard of e-commerce transactions, but IRC transactions, I don't know. Even the next one, BitTorrent, Amule, and eDonkey, peer-to-peer e-commerce card transactions, I don't know. But in fact, this was found in the cardholder processing environment. I mean, if some administrators or whoever want to have some peer-to-peer, they should put a separate DMZ on and put this machine into it. But they put it on productive machines where cardholder data is processed. So this is really interesting. SSL version 2 protocol was very often active. So the thing is that in the configurations this is a little bit tricky, I guess. For you, I think it's very clear, but for people who see this string of configuration to fix it, it's maybe too much. So normally only SSL version 3 and TLS version 1 is allowed, but the default of Internet Information Server and, for example, Apache is SSL version 2 is active, and guess what? It's not hardened. Same goes to SSL encryption. They have, of course, 128-bit encryption active, but the thing is, all other defaults also. So you can force the server to go down to, I don't know, 56-bit DS encryption, and the server is doing it because it supports this weak encryption, and this fallback option, of course, should be not allowed, but we very often found this. This is maybe interesting for the Feno Elite guys. A lot of management interfaces accessible on Cisco devices. I don't know if you have to manage them from the whole internet, but maybe they can limit it to some special IPs or a VPN. But we found them a lot. So also at the web servers, cross-site scripting is really up to date. A lot of people implement it, but it's not allowed. So maybe they should do some stricter development. to enforce that cross-site scripting is not possible, but again, we found a lot on web servers. Even also the session fixation and session hijacking was very often possible because the implementation was not so good. Web servers used also plain text form-based authentication. If you put in your credit card data, this is not the best way to protect the data. So same goes to mail servers, which are in this cardholder processing environment. Again, they also accept plain text credentials, and you can, of course, with that hijack system and switch to the next one. Coming to the audits, we found some interesting things in the key management. Key management is normally a very well documented process, but maybe it's too complex for a lot of people to understand what a split key and a 4i principle is. What we have seen in implementation was not to generate a key, split it into two parts. Two key custodians are, with the 4i's principle, responsible for each part, to have two people handling the key. They made it the way that they encrypt the data with the key of one guy, and the encrypted data is again encrypted with the key of another guy. That's no split key technique, because the first guy, of course, can make a copy or a dump of the data and then encrypt it. That was not really a 4i's principle. But this was one try to implement it. We changed that process later. Also interesting was a company, they had this split key and 4i's principle in the processing environment very well implemented. And when we asked how the key is generated and stored, they explained that the database administrator is generating the key, splitting it, putting it into the database, and then it's protected by two different people who are responsible for each part. I mean, he could make a copy, but they didn't realize it. After I mentioned it, they immediately changed this process, but that was an interesting implementation too. One thing we found in a very big company, they had an own developed, or a software vendor developed an application for them to process the transactions and to work with them. And they had, in the chargeback handling module, they had implemented a patch to mask the primary account number for 8 months. So it was, when we addressed this problem, they said, no, it's already addressed before 8 months. We have changed it into the maximum we can show. It's shown there. You can show the first 6 digits and the last 4 as a maximum. And this is no protect worse primary account number, because you cannot reconstruct the full number of the first 6 and the last 4. And they said, yes, we have already masked the data in a compliant way. And when we went through the websites and the chargeback handling module on site, we saw the full number. We were asking, is this correct, or what about the patch? And they said, maybe it's the test account, we should check another one. And again, the full number was shown. They didn't really know what to say and started to phone to the software vendor. And finally, it came out. They released this patch, it was implemented, everything was fine. But later they released a new patch, and this was installed, and it reverted the old patch. So they forgot to implement it into the new patch. Very interesting. And no one checked it. So this was, of course, not very good. I think the next 100 patches are for free. What also is really interesting, the thing that you have, the standard requires everyone to have a unique user ID. A unique user ID, of course, is individual and can be tracked to an individual, so shared accounts are not allowed. On Windows systems, you can put one or two people into the administrators group, deactivate the administrator's account and the guest account. On Linux systems, you can use su or sudo and deactivate